listening to A Balanced Juggle, helping women find balance in managing it all while achieving their own personal goals. Hey guys, welcome back. A Balanced Juggle, episode 6. Can you imagine episode 6 already? I feel like we just uploaded episode 1 like last week, and here we are. Time is certainly flying. At this rate, it's going to be Christmas by maybe next week or something. So listen up. I got a question for y'all. Have you guys ever had the type of week that left you feeling like you had zero capacity to accomplish anything for yourself? And when I say the type of week, I mean like the type of week at work where it's so hectic. You get off or you're at the end of it and you're just like, oh my gosh, what the hell? I just experienced a tornado. Well, that's the type of week I'm coming off of. Anything and everything that could have gone wrong at work between Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday did. It was fires from top to bottom. And, it's not until shit hits the fan do you realize where in your operation needs the most help or has the most, has the loosest screws, if you will. So Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, it was a reactive state. We were in it, putting out fires, taking care of business, making sure operations were, still functioning during these times. Thursday and Friday was, a little bit slower, but mostly postmortem analysis, taking information, targeting scopes, and developing contingency plans where we should have. With that being said, as on it as I was at work, I was the exact opposite as it pertained to my personal life, especially Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. I got nothing done. I got zero done. I did not go for a walk. I was so bombarded. I didn't even pay attention to what I was eating or if I ate. Side note, I did eat. I ate. It wasn't good, but I ate. And I was left by Wednesday night feeling like crap. I felt like crap while I was getting everything done at work. By the time it was my time, I was so over it. I couldn't move. I was fried. I was mentally, emotionally, physically fried, and it didn't feel good. It did not feel good. So I kept that thought in my head onto Thursday, and we're in war room meetings targeting what these new plans and strategies should compose of. I'm thinking to myself, contingency plans. Yep, all about it, studied it, know how to develop it. And I'm thinking, why the hell don't I have a contingency plan for myself? I mean, seriously, shouldn't I have a contingency plan for myself? I think in some form or fashion, all of us have a plan B on certain things in our lives, right? We all do. If something doesn't happen, we fall back on something else. But how many of us have a set process in place to effectively use when another part of our lives become so overwhelming that we can't focus on everything else? And I think that is the key sometimes to maintaining balance for myself. And it's an awakening, at least for me, right? Because like I said, Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, I didn't do anything and I started to feel like crap, more so than physically because I was just down on myself. I want to focus this episode on contingency plans as it pertains to our personal lives, because I think it's a necessary component for us to implement to effectively maintain balance and be sure that we are achieving what we should in our daily routine. Now, does that mean that every day it'll be balanced? Will it effectively meet each routine consistently at a certain percentage or level? No, that's not what I'm getting at, because in some ways that may be perfection. We have to adjust for real life. Some days I will be able to dedicate a full block of time without interruption to go to the gym or to go out for my walk, whereas other days I may not have that time. So I have got to implement a contingency or backup plan to ensure that while I may not be able to hit that block of time, I'll be hitting it in other ways during the day. Contingency plan. It does sound boring, doesn't it? But it really is effective, and I promise you, you'll find some benefit from this conversation. So first of all, what the hell is a contingency plan? Well, contingency plans can be considered like a plan B. What are we using in place of when our normal processes are unavailable? When you cannot operate as you do routinely due to circumstances, it's necessary for us to have a plan B in order to ensure minimal impact to our bottom line. Contingency plans are part of risk management. How do we mitigate risk? How do we eliminate impact to our bottom line during critical events? As much as we use it in the business world, I think it's all the more important that we implement some level of contingencies as it pertains to our personal life. Otherwise, it's going to be up and down, hot and cold when it comes to our personal goals. We're doing great for a week, and when something hits the fan, we fall off the wagon, and then after we fall off the wagon, who the hell has the energy to get back up and jump back on? I'm raising in my hand. I don't. Me right here. It's hard for me to get back on the wagon when I'm off. I think in my head, psychologically, it's about finding coping mechanisms to ensure that I set myself up in a way to never really fall off. I can slow down. Yeah, I mean, we all do that. But you never really want to 100% fall off. Implementing contingency plans to a certain level in our personal lives ensures that, we don't fall off. There's no need to beat ourselves up about not getting back up on. Contingency plans, we defined it. Great. It's plan B when we can't operate normally. All right, how does that pertain to health and fitness? Well, I'm going to tell you. First and foremost, contingency plans minimize loss, reduces the impact to the bottom line. If I was talking about myself in this past week, Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, my biggest loss is the fact that I didn't get my workout in. I did not have that block of time to go out there and dedicate myself to working out. And I felt like crap. I can't tell you. The loss there for me was more so than the actual exercise, but the loss for me was actually the time and just like the mental anguish, just the anxiety that I got from knowing that I didn't accomplish those things, even though I was otherwise spent. Which brings me to my second point of why a contingency plan is necessary. It prevents panic. Well, heck yeah. By the end of Wednesday, I was panicking that I didn't get my crap done. I was like, oh my God, I'm going to gain back all my weight, yada, yada, yada. I didn't get this done. Or, let's say we're talking about something more than just health and fitness. What about our family? It's 5:00. I've been on meetings all day. The kids eat dinner at 5:30. I don't have anything prepared. So what am I going to do? What's the first thing you would do? One of the first things I do is panic. I have nothing prepared. I didn't plan anything. My kids are hungry. They're going bonkers. Holy crap. Anxiety is what causes panic attacks. Having a plan in place, a clear directive, and understanding of what you have to do when things don't turn out as they do routinely keeps you in check and in control a little bit longer. The third tip, while we're considering contingency plans, is to ensure that we're making them comprehensive. Contingency plans just cannot be one or the other. These contingency plans that I'm talking about as it pertains to ourselves has to be made with an understanding of everything else that we have going at that same time. For instance, if I am on a conference call, instead of sitting there, there's no reason why I can't get up and stretch or walk around while focusing on what's being said or taking note of what's being discussed. That doesn't take me away from any other of my deliverables. If I know at the end of the day I'm pushing myself to go for a walk, that does not entail me putting my kids to the back burner and not giving them dinner. I still have to make sure those components are still in play while making purposeful moves towards what I also am trying to achieve. Those contingency plans have to be comprehensive enough to encompass all of those various components. You have to evaluate, step A may lead to step B, have an impact on step C and D. So you have to think it out given what you have to work with. It may sound more entailed than it should be, but it's really not, because we all know what we're contending with. We all know what we're dealing with in our life, right? So creating a plan to substitute when something else is taking place of another shouldn't be a problem for us. The fourth and final tip is to not wait. Don't wait till it hits the fan to realize that a contingency plan may be something smart to put in place. Contingency plans are not put in place with the intent of using them. I mean, these are things that are put in place in the event of. We hope the event would never happen, but life happens. So odds are something will happen and you've got to lean on something else. That's normal and it's okay. Create that level of awareness now when it comes to your routines. Create contingency plans or plan Bs that you can lean on, so you're not left in a position where you feel like you've just fallen off. There's no reason why we should fall off. There is a reason why we should examine what we have to deal with and put things in place in order to maintain some level of efficiency in all aspects of our lives. I failed to do that Monday through Wednesday, and how many times on this podcast alone have you heard me say that I felt like crap? Because I really and truly did. I was not focused on me. I performed fantastic at work. I'm proud of myself, but when it came to after work, I was over it. And I'm not blaming work. I'm not saying that we have to quit our job and say, screw it, it's all about me. No, we have to find those coping mechanisms and those contingency plans or plan Bs to take the place of when other parts of our lives are a little bit more demanding than usual. And it's okay. It's okay. It's normal. It's what we do with it that matters the most. So now I want to talk about, okay, so we understand why it's important. It has to be, comprehensive. We prevent panic and we minimize loss by creating these plan Bs as it pertains to, our health and fitness or our personal lives in general. How do we do that? What can we do? What coping mechanisms can we put in place as contingency plans? And I'm going to give a few examples on those coming up next. So before moving on with our current discussion on contingency plans, I wanted to share something super duper exciting with you guys. Guess what? Earlier this week, our podcast was featured on the top charts in iTunes under the health category. I was so shocked and so happy and so grateful at that moment for all of you listening and leaving feedback. I wanted to take a moment to thank you and to also encourage you to continue to listen and continue to share A Balanced Juggle with all your friends, families, and just about everybody. Also, be sure that you're following us on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook at A Balanced Juggle. I am always posting stuff up there as the days go along, giving updates on various things. So to stay in the loop, join in the discussion, and just to see what's going on this side of the world in A Balanced Juggle while we try to maintain and create some level of a balance in our juggle, be sure to follow us on all of those outlets. Getting back to contingency plans. So how do we use contingency plans to mitigate risk in our health and wellness or our lives in general? Well, as I mentioned earlier, it entails you assessing your day and assessing everything you have to do versus what's taking up the majority of your time. For instance, Monday through Wednesday, the majority of my time was spent on work. There was nothing left besides that. One of the coping mechanisms was rather obvious. Order out. There's no way in hell I'm going to have time to cook and take care of the kids as I normally would. So on that day, we had to decide to order out. As it pertains to health and fitness, one of the things I decided to do is to make sure during the day I'm getting in some inadvertent movements. Now, what does that mean? It means to make sure that I'm getting up more frequently, moving around, maybe doing some stretching in between my tasks. After a meeting, get up and do about 5 sun salutations consecutively. Or during the conference call, if it's one that I'm pretty much just not a major contributor to, where I'm just listening, get up and walk around. I'm realizing it may help us balance our obligations a little bit better if we're able to get in those inadvertent movements versus dedicating our workout solely at a block of time that we dedicate to the gym or going outside, because that block of time may not exist in some days. Another thing, don't do what I did. Don't be too hard on yourself if you don't get it done. I was so over it, but then I realized I wasn't done. It wasn't the end game. And I was able to bounce back. I'm happy to say Thursday, even though my day was pretty long and hectic, I made sure throughout the day I was able to get up and get those steps in between calls or in between tasks. I tried to pre-plan my day as best as possible. And again, if you do follow me on Facebook and Instagram, you'll see I posted a picture on Thursday with doing all of that. I was able to achieve the most steps I've ever done in a day. I actually did 9 miles on Thursday. And it wasn't because I took time out of my day, walked in a dedicated block of time, during a block of time. I didn't. The majority of those steps were inadvertent movement, getting up in between calls or while on a call, making a conscious effort to not depend on me having the time given the circumstances. And it worked out. Certainly enlightened me on how to do that more so going forward. One of the things I also think about when I consider contingency plans as it pertains to my personal life, when it comes to the kids, our kids are a priority. So, about a couple of weeks ago, my daughter comes into the room. It's about 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning. She comes into the room. She's like, "Mama, I'm blah," and starts projectile vomiting all over the place. Needless to say, despite whatever I had planned the next day, nothing got done because she was ill. She was sick and I had to play cleanup. How do I fit my own priorities when my obligations as a mom comes before that? Is there a way to do that. Am I perfect? Do I have the answer? I don't. But these are things that I'm certainly considering, and I'm thinking about quite heavily how to implement strategies to cope during these times, be it work, be it the kids, be it something going on in the house that takes me away from things that I should be doing for me. I should have baseline contingency plans or coping mechanisms to put in place so I can continue at a rate of achievement versus just stopping and having 0% of progress. I think this allows us, like I said, to maintain a level of progress